cost for everything.
Yes.
If you don't put in the work, if you're not intentional about your relationships, then for me, the cost is that you're not going to have the outcome that you desire as far as, the happiness or whatever goals that you set. There's going to be a cost if you're not intentional and putting in the effort.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
And I think it's just a great topic because as you talked about, we're talking independence. You can have that independence, that freedom, that liveliness in your marriage.
So no ball and chain.
No ball and chain at all. I mean, that's one of the things we really try to preach and show through our website, blackandmarriedwithkids.com, is that so many times people correlate marriage with having a ball and chain or things that they're losing, but you really can gain so much when you come into alignment with your spouse.
Now, let's talk about that. Let's talk about blackandmarriedwithkids.com. Where did this come from? How did it begin? And what is the mission and vision behind that?
Sure. We started blackandmarriedwithkids.com in December 2007. We were talking about starting a website or a blog, and we said, what's something that we're passionate about? So if it takes off 4 or 5 years from now, we won't feel like we just created a new job for ourselves.
New job.
Exactly, right. We already had 2 demanding jobs. We didn't want a third one.
Yeah.
Right.
So what it was family. What it was marriage in the way marriage and relationships were viewed in the African American community. So we said we know there have to be other couples like ourselves that love being married. We knew there are fathers in the homes taking care of their kids and someone else's kids as well, but they're never shown, they're never given profiles, and you never see them on the news and the newspaper. So we said let's create a platform where we not only look at what's wrong in our community but celebrate what's right, and that's what we did with blackandmarriedwithkids.com.
Wow. And so with that, what are some of the, themes that you see a lot in regards to love and relationships? Because you have writers and different people who contribute to the blog. Well, I don't know if you still consider it a blog or if you call it just a website, but you have a lot of people that contribute and write different topics and stories. What do you see as some of the most underlying themes or the patterns and behaviors in relationships?
So some of the most common themes are communication. I mean, communication is just a big, area, topic, issue, challenge for a lot of
all
couples.
the above.
People don't go into relationships really knowing how to communicate and really knowing how to connect. And so they bring with them things that they saw growing up. Oh, yeah. And those things they don't even realize maybe maybe not the best habits. And so I would say communication and your ability to compromise and work together as a team.
Okay.
Because if people can really address those areas, then I think that their relationships will be around for the long haul.
Yeah.
And if I can add to that, I think Ronnie really hit on it. She talked about people really acting out what they see growing up. And what a lot of us don't realize until we're much older, until maybe it's too late, is that a lot of us grew up in dysfunction.
Yes.
But we didn't even realize it was dysfunction
because
it was normal.
Right? Yeah.
It was what we saw every day.
Exactly.
So what we saw every day, that's what we take into our marriages, and that's what our expectations are. That's what we expect the role of myself to be. That's the role of my spouse to be based on what I saw growing up. But what I saw growing up was some mess.
Yes.
And we have to address that.
So in all of that, whether it's communication, the dysfunction, the things that we take from the past and we begin to implement, that can create issues. You guys have completely addressed that. Now, when those issues arise, how do we move forward in forgiveness? And that's the piece that we wanted to focus on a little bit right now tonight, is the importance and significance of that, because those things will happen. We'll have communication issues. We'll have a host of other things that may happen as well. But how do we move beyond that stuff and forgive? What do you guys think about that?
It's never, I think a lot of people want that one simple answer, but there are multiple factors that go into forgiveness. One thing would be, what do you want out of this relationship? What's your goal? What's the end goal? Do you want to fight, or do you want to have happiness?
He said, do you want to fight?
Yes, do you want to
Some
fight?
people do want to fight.
Do you want to
Some
fight?
people do want to
Take
fight.
a step back. I mean, what do you want? I mean, because your actions are not aligning with what you want at the end of the day. So remember, what do you want the outcome to be? The second thing is just the ability to extend grace to your partner. That's a huge part of forgiveness. Understanding that, you're not perfect, your partner is not perfect, you're not going to be perfect, but you can grow together. And as long as you know your partner's heart, you know that they're trying, they're going to make mistakes, but as long as they're trying, you're trying, things are going to be okay. And I think as long as you have those factors, then you're going to be able to forgive your partner.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that you're both on the same team. And if you
Now,
can
that's
keep
powerful.
that, exactly,
That's
if you
powerful.
can keep that on the forefront of your mind, then that helps you navigate some of those waters differently than you would when you forget that going into it. So you.
Yeah, I think, I don't remember if it was a show that we had here or somewhere else. Someone was mentioning the same thing. Sometimes we get in that battle of, I want to be right, and I want to be right. Well, I want to be right, and I want to be right. And you forget that at the end of the day, the goal is to have a happy, healthy relationship.
It definitely, and what I've learned just from doing the films and interviewing so many different couples through our films and through the website is that oftentimes we're so caught in I'm right and you're wrong.
Yes.
But that's not even the case. The case is just that we do things differently and we see things differently because, you know, I was a single, only child, and you were raised in a house of 8.
Yes.
You know,
Are you talking to me? Are you talking about me?
I was. Your family that big for real?
No,
Okay.
the first. The single,
Okay.
the single,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Okay. See. So, if you come from those different backgrounds, your view and your perception of your role in the family and what you should be doing and how you should be treated is just totally different. So a lot of times, what I had to realize between Ronnie and myself was that not that I have. I'm right and she's wrong, but she just has her way of doing things. I have my way. But as long as we can meet the same goal, as long as we get to the same place, the same finish line, then we'll be fine.
You're nodding. You have something to add to that?
No, I mean, he's right. I mean, that was something that I also had to learn, going into it, because I did have these preconceived, notions. Things should be this way. He should do these things. And it all just boiled down to communication and really understanding your spouse and being able to communicate those expectations.
I get it.
I expect you to take the trash out. Well, he was like, well, why do you expect me to take the trash out? Because my father
took the trash out. Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
But that may
Then
not
I
be
wouldn't have
the
took
case in
the
his
trash
house.
out.
So you have to blame Dad for that one, right?
Exactly.
I got it. So now, what's the cost of not forgiving? We understand the benefits and why it's important. Well, what are the costs of not doing it?
I think the major primary cost of not forgiving is hardness, is bitterness, is it can even manifest into physical illness. But the thing is, when you don't forgive, all of those things happen to you.
That's true.
I mean, how many times have your viewers been upset and uptight with someone, but then you see that other person just going about their day, minding their business like nothing ever happened?
Yes.
So, you mentioned it before, forgiveness is for you.
Yes.
Forgiveness allows you to release those different things. Forgiveness, we often look at it like it's a weakness, but really it's a strength.
It is.
And that's how you move on with your life and the things that you need to do in order to move forward.
And it takes a lot more energy to be angry and to be upset. They say it takes more muscles to frown than it does to smile.
Oh, yes, I know. I know when we were first married, it used to be hard because sometimes you have to forgive your spouse on a day-to-day basis.
Not
And
a
one thing-
day-to-day.
Yes. the one thing I learned
Hold up,
that
man, hold up.
if you're able to forgive your spouse on a day-to-day basis, practice forgiveness.
Okay.
Then when the big things come along,
Yeah.
you're already prepared and you know how to forgive.
Okay.
And so if they're leaving the toothpaste off or they're leaving the sock off,
Yeah.
things of that nature,
Yes.
you have to learn how to forgive. You have to learn how to work with your spouse. And he's so right. He would forgive and move on, and I'd be mad, and I'm like, why is he so happy? I want to be mad.
I'm like, girl, you still mad?
And you're
That was days ago.
right?
He's having fun, and I'm still like bottled up.
You watching the Eagles game with me or not? Let me know what you're gonna do or
And then
not.
I'm still mad because he's not
He's not-
mad because he's happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't.
And it's just like, if you had an argument with your girlfriend or somebody, and you go for a couple days or weeks without talking, and you see them, and you're like, hey, and you're like, wait a minute, I'm still mad at you.
Right.
So you have to consciously be mad all over again. It's just too much. It's just too much. So you guys have got a number of different things going on. You mentioned movies. We talked about the website. If you had, one piece of advice or product or service that you would want our viewers out there to go to help them through any relationship woes that they may have or issues with forgiveness, what would that be?
I would say just go to our website, blackandmarriedwithkids.com, and sign up for our email list. Actually, if you go to our website, on the right side of the site, you'll actually see a 4-part video series we have that's totally free on how to have unbreakable relationships.
Unbreakable
Yeah,
relationships.
so I just encourage them to sign up for that, become a part of our BMWK family, and we will feed into your life in that area of relationships and marriage.
Sounds good. Now you have a new movie that's out, Generation 1, right?
Right.
And it's talking about wealth and finances. And I know that's the core of it, but we talk about it all the time, in therapy with my clients, and even here on the show. Ted did a show one time, talked about the importance of finances. And the relationship between money and couples can create a lot of issues where you have to forgive as well. Are there any tips or tools in that new movie that can help couples deal with issues on the financial level?
Oh, most definitely. There are tips that are going to help people change their mindset about the money and about the things that they're doing right now. Because a lot of people are really working on right now and not really thinking about long term, not really thinking about the future. And the future meaning what's going to happen when they retire. But even beyond that, are you going to leave a legacy for your children? And so we have several experts in the film that are going to give you some great information on really how to leave a legacy.
Awesome. Love it. blackandmarriedwithkids.com. Any last words of wisdom, tips, nuggets you'd like to leave with the viewers in regards to how to not pay the cost?
Sure. I think the song we heard coming in was the perfect segue, right? Don't give up. Know that no matter who you are, what you're going through, there are other couples who've been through the same thing, because we often think we're in a silo and we're all alone, but they've been through the same thing. They've overcome those challenges, and if they did it, you can too. You just need to hook up with someone and get the help that you need if you can't figure it out on your own.
And there's strength in asking for help. I think sometimes we think, I know we think that if we're asking for help, that means that we're weak or we can't do it on our own. But God gives us all gifts and talents to be able to use to help others. So I definitely appreciate that. And I appreciate the two of you being here, Mr. Lamar and Ronnie Tyler. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And so now we're going to head over to Lakia Brandenburg for our Mind, Body, and Spirit segment. And we have some more from Miss Wakeelah. Take it away.
That's right. Thanks, Nikhol. Welcome to this week's Mind, Body, and Spirit segment, where we look for ways to highlight different ways for you to incorporate wellness in your everyday lives. It's all about feeding the mind, strengthening the body, and empowering the spirit. And our very special guest has done that. I know I've been empowered in song from our wonderful guest. Let me tell you a little bit about her. She is a vocalist and a lyricist. She actually had always known as a little girl that music was in her heart. She's actually helped us to capture her life experiences through her music, which helps us to live vicariously through the heartache, the pain, the experiences, the life lessons, everything that she's experienced and been through. She helps us in her music to experience that. And then also she's a choir director, a soloist at a local church right here in Atlanta, Georgia. And that girl is also working on her very first gospel EP. When I say she has a lot going on, I am so excited. Help us welcome to the show, Miss Wakeelah.
Thank you.
Welcome. Now, girl, you are a powerhouse.
God, glory to God, that's all.
That was an absolutely amazing way to open the show. You have really blessed me. I'm just sitting here in awe. But I know, the show is all about relationships today and forgiveness, and we're going to get into that. But I'm very, very, very interested in you telling us about your upbringing, because you are a gospel artist, but you weren't raised in a Christian household. Can you tell us a little bit about your upbringing and how you transitioned into gospel music?
Okay, I sure can. When I was born and raised Muslim, and at one point I was going through something, well, throughout my life, it was probably my 30s.
You still young, girl. You still young.
Okay. So, but I was going through something with my ex-husband now, and I was in a domestic violence situation. And my sister, who had converted to Christianity from Islam years ago, she asked me, she said, all I want you to do for me for my birthday this year is to come to church with me. And I said yes, which was shocking because I gave her, when she became Christian, she was like the black sheep. I'm like, you're what? Oh, wow. You're a Christian. But I went to church with her, and I knew that's where God was, and that's where I belong. And so I never looked back. And I used to sing R&B music, and then God put it in my heart to just, give him my talent.
Oh, glory be to God. But hold up now. Let's talk about this transition, because you growing up in a household where it's a Muslim household, meaning the principles, Ramadan, all of that, right? You have to tell us, what did your parents instill in you as a child, but you still felt something inside that there's something else out there for you? Like, how did you know?
I just felt kind of empty. Yeah, they raised us always to believe in God. Muslims do believe in God. And I've always loved God since I was young, but I never seen the love of God until I went into the church. When I was in Islam, and I love those people, those are my people, but I don't agree with them. But when I was in Islam, it just felt like, I don't know, it was this big angry God just waiting on me to mess up. And just getting ready to send me to hell. And so I just...
So he wasn't a forgiving God.
No, not at all, not at all. So I found the forgiveness and the love and the grace and the mercy and peace and joy and all of that when I went to church.
She's taking us to church right now during this segment. Now tell us a little bit about now that you've transitioned into, not from Muslim to Christianity, you're singing gospel music. How did your parents accept that? Like, were you, come on now, if your sister was the black sheep, then it was two of y'all. So how did...
No, let me tell you what happened. Okay, the first sister, yeah, she was the black sheep. The second sister was like, what? Then when I did it, they was like, okay. So, yes. Okay. So by that time, I didn't really feel the brunt of what my other sisters felt. God is good. My mother and my father, my father, rest in peace, never, ever turned it back on me.
That's a beautiful story. Tell us about how gospel music is helping you to, that song you sang earlier. Was that an original piece?
That was an original piece. Let me tell you how I wrote that song.
Please.
Okay. I was at the food stamp office because I got kicked off of food stamps. And so I went back to get my paperwork straight and everything. And I said, I'm going to go early because there's going to be a long line. And I'm going to get there before everybody else. Well, yeah, that didn't happen. So I went out there, and it was a long line, and I had to stand in the line. But I was there at the food service, and right across the parking lot was the job service. So there was the job service over there, and the food stamp office across the parking lot. And I just started to listen to some songs, some music that somebody had sent me. And I was feeling some kind of way because I was in this line, and I'm like, why am I even here? Because God has given me so many talents. I don't got no business in this line, but okay. And then I heard God's got a purpose. God's got a purpose. So I actually wrote that song in that line.
Okay, wait a minute, hold up. For somebody that's watching the show right now, that's maybe dealing with what you were dealing with at that time, speak to them as to why you feel that God has a purpose in their life. Like, I want you to turn to the camera right here and tell them, I want you to speak. I just feel like you're ministering. So for somebody who's dealing with that right now, maybe they're not in the food stamp line, but they're somewhere just feeling that God has a purpose. What can you say to them right now?
I can say that God truly does have a purpose for you. No matter what you happen to be going through, there is a reason for it, and he's going to bring you out, and he's going to give you the victory. So don't worry. Don't just trust him. Trust him.
Wow. That's a beautiful. Thank you so much. Relationships. I know you didn't want to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it. I'm going to get all up in your business. No, now you talked about divorce. Yes. And we've been talking, like the Tylers actually shared with us earlier with Nikhol, about the actual act of forgiveness. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to going through relationships and things like that, did you have to deal with forgiveness? And
yes, I did deal with forgiveness, and I forgave a lot. And
Ronnie did say it was a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. Until I just got tired, and I realized that wasn't even a union that God had put together. And I think that was me and him, and then we had babies and all other kind of stuff. So we ended up together, but we were never really equally yoked. So I had to leave because when it gets to the point of you're dealing with physical abuse, you gotta move because something serious can really happen. So with me, I forgave him. I forgave him, and I walked on by.
Sometimes forgiveness does not mean you have to stay there. Yeah. Okay, you can release it and move on. So the wonderful song that you sang to us is ministering to us. Is there anything that you're working on right now? Tell us about this gospel project. Is that song on there? Because I definitely want to get that.
Oh, definitely. That song is on there. A song that called Fallen is on there. Relationship is an awesome song. It's about having a relationship with God. Because some people don't, when you say that, a lot of people don't understand it. So the song is kind of, if you're not really listening, you kind of think it's about a man and a woman, but it's about a person and God, because you have to have that kind of relationship where you talk to them and love on them and do what they say. It's so that song is one of my favorites. Oh goodness, what else? Closer. That's the one song that I did not write. I had someone from back home, because I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, and he wrote that song. Wow. So yeah.
Beautiful thing. Now, Charleston, South Carolina has been dealing with a lot of, just sadness and a transition in our history with the Charleston shooting and things like that. Have you been able to minister or go back home and do anything as far as speaking to, your people in Charleston?
I have not spoken on it so much. My condolences definitely go out to the families that have been affected. And just, it's crazy because that same church was right across the street from my son's school. And every time I went to go pick him up, I parked my car right there in front of the church. And my ex-husband's family are members of the church. So it affected people, but not me directly. I hadn't been able to talk about it, but I did go home and I went to my old church, Royal Baptist, and I did sing a little something, and it was good to be home and to see everybody and how they're dealing with it, coming together.
So, solo artist at church, and you're also the director?
Yes.
All right, tell us what you be having them girls sing now in the choir, putting that choir together.
We just sing. We sing all kind of stuff. We sing.
Do your sisters sing?
Yeah. I got two sisters that sing, but they don't. They're not as like I sing. They don't sing like I sing, just because they, they're not in the recording and things like that. They'll sing at church or they'll sing at home, and they fine. So.
And you're a member of which church?
Beaver Ruin Road Baptist Church on Beaver Ruin Road.
Anything new going on other than your EP project? That's your first gospel art album. Anything else new coming up for you?
At this, I will be having a musical. I'll be in a musical in next month, at the end of next month. And I have been doing so many other things, but I actually got like a little gap of time right now. But as far as the musical, I'm at church every Sunday. You can always check me out there. Beaver Ruin Road Baptist is an awesome church with an awesome.
Give a shout out to your pastor.
Yes, I will. Shouts out to Pastor Baker and Miss Sister Tamika Baker. Yes.
Beautiful. Okay, so we have you as the gospel artist. Tell us a little bit about, we're talking about relationships. Okay. The cost of freedom in relationships. Now, I know you talked about freedom with forgiving your husband, walking away, but what about freedom to love again? How do you feel about that?
Freedom to love again. Yes, that's a wonderful thing. Freedom to love again. I love, yes.
What does that look like for you? If you're not in that space of actually dating right now, but what does that look like for you? Because once you go through, the forgiveness and letting go and releasing, we all want love now. Yes. So let's talk about the cost of this love to love again.
How
you gonna write a song about it?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. That's how I do that. Love is hard sometimes, because if you've been burnt a lot, or you've been there, then you're not really all that enthused about jumping back into it. And so as for me right now, I am doing what the Lord told me to do, and I'm going.
You're gonna court the Lord.
Myself and I and Jesus. Hallelujah.
That's your song, Relationships. Learning how to court, listen to him, be obedient, submissive.
Yes.
I love it.
No, but yeah, this is my time. This is that time where I really have a lot of things going on that I have to deal with. And sometimes, a relationship can be distracting. And I really don't have time. They can be very distracting. And it's a lot of responsibility, and it's a lot of work. I don't have time to work on that right now. That's all.
Well, you know what? I'm hoping that you can bless us with another song, because I don't want you to leave here. Is it okay if we get another selection from you? If there anything that's going on that you want to share with the audience, any last pointers, your social media, how can we find you? Can we come worship with you on Sunday? Tell us exactly where we can find you.
Okay. You can find me at Beaver Ruin Road Baptist Church. That is at 1200 Beaver Ruin Road. We would love to have you there. So that I'm there every Sunday. Also, like I said, I have a musical coming up on the 29th that is at Living Word Church in Grayson, Georgia. That is my next. And I have an interview on Sunday. Yeah, I have an interview on Sunday, but I actually can't remember the website right now. Yes. It'll definitely be on my social media. And you can find me at www.facebook/Wakeelah Music. Wakeelah Music.
All right. Is it all right if we get another song from Wakeelah at this time? Introduce that song for us.
Okay. This song here is called Fallen. This is track, let's see. Awesome. Yes. All right. This song is called Fallen. It is an awesome song, and it's actually one of my favorites. So let's get this out the way. All right. Yeah. Oh, can I get a little bit more volume? Thank you. Yeah. I'm stressed by all of this mess. Don't want no phone calls or texts. I don't know what's coming next, and I'm tripping. Ain't nothing going right. Don't wanna fuss and fight. I ain't been sleeping 3 or 4 nights. Now I'm slipping, 'cause this ain't how it's supposed to be. Sometimes I wonder what happened to me. Nothing in life is guaranteed. Believe me, I'm at a crossroad between who I am and who you want me to be. And I've been here standing on your word. Sometimes it's not that easy, but only you can save me. So I put all things in your hands. Though I might not understand, yeah, I know you have a plan. And it's hard when I'm trying to answer your call, and it seems no one can help. Who will catch me when I fall? 'Cause I'm falling, that's it hard. But I'm trusting, believing you, God, that you'll rescue me from it all. And you'll catch me when I fall, when I'm falling. I'm tired of always being nice and never being right. I've been pushed around all my life. I'm disgusted, 'cause these people ain't my friends. They take my kindness for weakness, and now I realize they can't be trusted. Sometimes I wish I could run away. Then I hear your voice saying, child, it's gonna be okay. Just take it day by day. I'm at a crossroad. I need your direction. Tell me which way to go. This time I'm not trying to figure it out. I found that only you know. So whenever I'm feeling left out and defeated and confused, I might not know what to do, Lord. So I'll trust in you. And it's hard. I'm trying to answer your call, but nobody cares, Lord. When I fall, 'cause I'm falling, I know you'll catch me. But I'm trusting, believe that you'll guide me from it all.
Awesome. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Wakeelah and LB, for that awesome mind, body, and spirit segment with the focus on our spirit. We appreciate you guys so much. And we are back talking and continuing our conversation tonight about the cost of freedom. We talked with Ronnie and Lamar Tyler with Black and Married with Kids earlier, and they shared their tips and suggestions on how to avoid the cost in paying for unforgiveness in relationships. And we're going to get another twist and take on that with this awesome couple that's here with us now. They are the founders of an organization known as Ringside, LLC, which is an organization that is based on galvanizing communication between outspoken, over the top, and sometimes opinionated men and women with the goal of developing healthier relationships and long-lasting marriages. And if you don't have those things going on, then you pay some risk and there are some costs to pay. And so welcome to the show, Troy and Candyce Vaughn of Ringside.
Well, thank you for having us. Thank you.
Now, if you've never been a viewer or a visitor to Ringside, I would encourage you definitely to check it out. Again, there's some really good conversation going on there about relationships. And so if you guys would tell us a little bit more about Ringside, how it was developed, and what your goals and the mission and vision are behind that.
Okay, well, first and foremost, thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
For many that don't know, my name is Troy. It's my wife, Candyce. We are the creators of Ringside LLC, which, as Nikhol mentioned, it's an organization that fosters debate between outspoken, over-the-top, and opinionated men and women here in the Atlanta area. And the goal is to galvanize communication between the sexes for healthier dating and more prosperous marriages. We actually started this back in 2009 in a little house in Decatur, Georgia, where it started off as just house parties, mainly just to gather her friends and my friends to get together and let's discuss and converse and just outright debate some of the issues that are precluding dating and relationships. And so we realized that you can't gather a group of outspoken men and women together in a room and talk about relationships and opinions not fly across one after the other. And so after the event, we had people texting us and emailing us the next day like, hey, we had a great time. When is the next event?
Okay.
And so it just continued, and then we decided to make it an organized event. We called it Battle of the Sexes at the beginning. It was a placeholder. We knew it was kind of boring, but we said we needed something more catching. What do we call this thing that we do? We bring men and women together. We got to call it something. We can't just call it Battle of the Sexes, so we called it Ringside, which is a double entendre because one of my favorite sports is boxing. And we kind of craft the live events as like these verbal sparring bouts between men and women, but we also call it Ringside because we are talking about what side of the wedding ring are you on. Are you trying to get to the wedding ring, or are you in the process of getting out, or are you trying to stay there?
Okay, I love it. Now that part I did not know.
Yes.
So that is very interesting.
Very creative.
Yeah.
Kudos to my husband for coming up with the name. So I said, I like it.
That is awesome. And so, Candyce, what's your take on the healthy debates?
They're very lively and animated, and I think it's great because we want people to be honest, whether their opinions are absolutely outrageous or things that are what the norm and what most people believe. So we want people to feel comfortable sharing whatever is on their mind, whatever they believe, whether they have a lot of people backing them up and liking their comments or not.
Just a safe place to be able to speak their mind.
Exactly.
And so taking that same concept into thought when we're thinking about relationships, how healthy is it to be able to work through and resolve conflict in relationships? So you're looking at Ringside, and I love, again, that the symbolism there. How does that roll over to actual relationships?
Yeah, I think it's important to be able to work through conflicts because that's just a part of any relationship. Whether it's he won't, put the seat down in the toilet and you keep falling in, that's traumatic in
Yes.
itself, and you have to work through that. But
And it's like we never get over it every
Right,
time
it's
that it happens.
scary.
Yeah.
But then they're like, well, why aren't you looking before you sit or whatever? So,
simple
a whole
look.
nother conflict in itself. But, that just comes up in any sort of relationship that you have, whether it's, friends or coworkers. The success of the couple is, dependent on being able to work through any conflict, or else you have no, relationship and the couple can't move on, can't survive.
Yeah. I get that. So we're talking with a focus on forgiveness tonight. And we expressed earlier in the first segment that there are some costs to pay if you don't forgive or if you hold on to that sense of unforgiveness. What's your thought about that forgiveness process and how important is forgiveness in relationships, Troy?
Well, I would think that forgiveness is vital to any relationship, marriage, or even friendship.
Yes.
Because, as my wife mentioned, this is life. People, we're all human. You're going to make mistakes. There will be times where, you do things that, may annoy or irritate the person you're with. And you have to have that element, that component of forgiveness. Otherwise, these are feelings and negative energies that just you're going to allow buried deep inside. And with any unforgiveness, I think many people can understand unforgiven energy and issues will precipitate resentment.
Yes.
And what is resentment? Resentment to a relationship is like hypertension to the human body. Okay? It's something that you don't immediately feel, but it is there and is damaging the core of the foundation. So if you're walking around in this friendship or relationship or marriage and you have these issues with your spouse, minor, major, whatever, and you haven't resolved it, you're basically tearing away at the foundation of what you've already built with that person. So you need to forgive, not only to revitalize, restore, and just save what you have with this person, but also for yourself.
Yes.
Because a lot of people overlook the fact that forgiveness is really, a lot of it is about your own personal health as well as personal growth.
And I'm glad that you brought that up. And earlier we said that sometimes holding on to that stuff can create illnesses and issues within your own body. That energy can create stress, and you can deal with ulcers and headaches and all other kinds of things. But I also believe that when you hold on to that, you block your blessings. If you are angry and resentful, we tend to put up these walls. And with the walls up, how is someone going to be able to get in?
Exactly.
Right.
So is that something that you see on Ringside when you're looking at those posts and the debates about relationships?
Absolutely. Because, even when you have people in Ringside who are single, not involved in a relationship or marriage, but they haven't, number one, forgiven issues within themselves from past relationships. They haven't forgiven the opposite sex. Even symbolically, we have people who haven't forgiven the opposite sex, even people of the opposite they've never met, never dated, anything. Just the fact that,
That's a man.
as you're a man. You're a man.
You hurt me.
And you represent, what you are as a man represents the men that have hurt me and so on and so forth. So there has to be the element of forgiveness. Otherwise, like you're saying, you're going to walk around an angry, bitter, self-destructive person. So you
And
have
I'm
to
glad
learn
you
to let
said
go.
person, because that happens to both men and women. I think
Absolutely.
sometimes we get that idea that women hold on a lot to the unforgiveness spirit, but it goes both ways.
Absolutely.
Right. I believe we have a caller. Caller, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, welcome to the show. Give us your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, this is Vincent. I'm calling from Seattle, Washington this evening.
Vincent from Seattle, Washington. What's your question or comment tonight?
First, I'd just like to start say it's a wonderful topic this evening. I have problems with forgiveness all the time with different relationships I'm in, but I got a quick question that I know I'm supposed to forgive, but tell me, am I supposed to forget? And if I don't forget it, have I truly forgiven you?
Ooh.
And I'm going to hang up because my phone doesn't have a lot of time on it, but I'm going to still listen to the answer. But I just want to know, if I forgive, am I supposed to forget? And if I don't forget, how am I supposed to move on?
Wow, great question. Thank you so much, Vincent. If I forgive, am I supposed to forget? Candyce.
I don't think you should necessarily forget. I think you should use it as a learning experience. take that situation and use it to help strengthen, your relationship with the other person, or even, strengthen yourself and feel better about things and use it as a positive, but don't necessarily forget it completely.
Okay.
You can take something positive.
Some
out of
lessons
it.
learned in that.
Exactly.
Got it. I see you nodding, Troy.
Absolutely. And I don't remember the president or the person that said this, you can forgive someone, but it doesn't mean you have to forget their name. I do agree, forgive, let that energy go, release it. Forgive. You don't necessarily have to forget, because you want to remember the steps you took to overcome this,
Yes.
whatever the issue was, so you don't repeat it. Because when you forget, you're bound to repeat somewhere down the line, and you don't want to do that.
Yes. And,
So-
and that was one of the pieces that I was going to mention. Forgetting can be a piece of the blessing in moving forward, because if you start to feel yourself tipping in that way, or you start seeing some red flags or some signals, that's your cue to implement something that you've learned
Right.
from that situation.
Absolutely.
So I definitely would say, Vincent, forgiveness, release the energy, release the anger, release the resentment, but remember, and not only remember that, but remember some of the good things that maybe had occurred in that relationship as well.
Exactly.
So I think that's important. So you touched on forgiveness being for you, and not so much so you don't get sick, but so that you can be free. It's the cost of freedom. What do you suggest? What's your advice for anyone out there who's holding on, maybe someone like Vincent, who's still trying to wrap their heads around this whole debate, communication, conflict resolution? What's your advice in kind of maneuvering through that?
Well, I would say, number one, to Vincent or to anyone going through this, regardless if you're going through it, as a single person or in a relationship, number one, you need to own whatever the issue is. Whatever the problem is, whatever the mistake that happened, first and foremost, you can't move forward and surpass this until you own what happened. Own what you did, or own what happened, and really come to terms and the reality of it. Secondly, learn and understand that, look, you're a human being. You have faults. You're not perfect. People that care about you don't expect you to be perfect. We're not, none of us are perfect individuals. So understand that, look, it's okay to make a mistake. You're going to make a mistake. Can you own it? Can you look past it? Can you take the lesson from it, apply it going forward so you can do better? And then that's what I was saying as far as the third step, application.
Oh, I love it. Candace, anything to add to that?
Well, I think Troy did a great job, as usual. But I would just say, like I said, just use it as a positive experience, and understand that disagreements and things that you have to forgive aren't necessarily all bad things. It's just people have different opinions, different ways of looking at things, different ways of doing things. So it's not necessarily this person has malicious intent, or you had malicious intent if you did something to hurt someone else. Just look at the situation itself. It doesn't mean that this is a bad person or a bad relationship. It just means you have
different perspectives. The book, it's a really old book, Women Are From Venus, Men Are From Mars. I believe that's correct. And it's so true. We just are, not only are we anatomically different, but we are just wired differently. And I think it's those differences that make it it's a blessing in that, but those differences can also create a lot of the issues. But understanding that we're on the same team, as the Tyler said earlier, and that we're both working and fighting towards that common goal should be, I believe, what's at the core of everything that we're doing in the relationship.
Right.
And you mentioned, Troy, owning your role, owning your part in that process, and sometimes we don't do that. And so when we're talking about forgiving others, we have to acknowledge the role that we played and forgive ourselves so that we can be free to move forward.
Exactly.
So so I love it. So Ringside LLC.
Yes.
Tell us where we can find you, where we can find. Can we play? Do you guys still have the in-person events and things like that?
Yes.
So what's going on with that? Where are we? Where are we going?
Well, I would say first and foremost, anyone that wants to get down and get in the ring with us or some of our other verbal combatants, you can find us on the web at www.weareringside.com. If you're on the Twitter, I'm not the biggest Tweeter, whatever my wife is. But if you on Twitter, you can follow us at We Are Ringside. I know everyone here is on Facebook, so just go to your search box and type in Ringside LLC. You should find our group. Just ask to join, and either myself, my wife, or one of our admins will let you in, and just join in the debate. Don't be afraid. All we ask is that you put up your... Don't be scared. We just ask that you put up your dukes and guard your grill at all times.
Awesome. Any events coming up?
Well, one event that we have coming up in the very near future is our Sweet Spot event. The Sweet Spot is an organization out of New York, which is a variety showcase, and they tour throughout different major cities across the United States. And as I was saying, it's a variety showcase that features pop erotic poetry, burlesque, dance, comedy, music, fashion, pole dancing, and a lot more. We're the Atlanta partners of the Sweet Spot. The next show is August 15th, which will be in a couple of weeks at 595 North. For more information, you can find us on our website, www.weareringside.com.
Weareringside.com.
Yes.
Thank you, Candyce. Thank you, Troy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we're headed to our very last, but we say the best for last. Piece by Miss Wakeelah. And she's coming.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it's first thing in the morning, and I'm stretching and yawning. It's been a while, but now I can't stop thinking of you. I wish that I could feel your touch. Oh, how I need it so much. There's no one who can make me feel the way that you do. I hate that we're not close like we used to be. Lord, I've been missing you. Are you missing me? I feel so empty now, and religion just won't do. I need a relationship with you, and I just can't fight the feeling. And I think that's why I'm reeling, 'cause my whole world's turned upside down when you're not around. And I search high and I look low, and there's no one else that I know who could love me enough to hold me down. I need to pray to you, but I don't know where to start. Lord, if you could please mend my broken heart. I feel so empty now, and religion just won't do. I need a relationship with you, and I promise if you give me another chance, I'll never ever leave you again, no. I'll praise until I take my last breath, and I'll give my all until there's nothing left. I'll never let no one come before you. Yeah, I choose my relationship with you. No one else will ever do. Oh no, I need my relationship with you.
That's it. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Guys, this has been a phenomenal show tonight. We appreciate you all so much for tuning in. We want to thank once again our awesome guests, Lamar and Ronnie Tyler of Black and Married with Kids. We want to thank Candyce and Troy Vaughn of Ringside LLC, and of course the beautiful vocalist Miss Wakeelah Shabazz. Be sure to check them all out and stay connected with all of the awesome things that they've got going on. In wrapping up this month's theme with the cost of freedom, I'd like for you guys to keep in mind all of the different things that we've covered this month. We talked about walking in your truth. We talked about exercising your rights and political freedom, being involved in your community. And tonight we stressed the importance of really truly getting into and owning your relationship and making it what you want it to be, and understanding that forgiveness not only sets the other person free, but it sets you free as well. As always, as I say, some of the things we talk about here on the show you may not quite understand, you may not even agree with, but we ask that you always remain open in your mind, in your body, and in your spirit to learn something new, to take something from each show that can help to make you feel better, be better, and to do better. We appreciate all of you tuning in. We love to hear from you. We'd like to get your comments, your questions, and your concerns, because that's what we're here for. And, you know, there are costs that we pay. This great country, the USA, we have a lot of liberties, we have a lot of freedoms, but everything does come with a cost. And so ask yourself, what price are you willing to pay? What price are you not willing to pay? Because at the end of the day, it's you that matters, it's you that counts, and it's you that is empowered to be the change that you want to see. Remember, it doesn't matter what you've been through. It doesn't matter what you're going through. It doesn't matter what you'll go through in the future. Trust, know, and believe that your healing is just a journey away. Join us next week, same time, same place, for the Nikhol B. Jackson Show. Have a great night, everybody, and be blessed.